How do you stay inspired and motivated in your creative pursuits?
Well, you know what? I kind of turn it off when I'm not working.
Yeah.
So for the last 3 months, I've been doing other things, um, just really doing family stuff and focusing on other parts of my life, and you know, playing golf and doing you know things outside of music. So I completely turn it off when I'm not
You can
working
turn
on
it off,
something.
yeah?
Oh yeah, yeah. When I'm not working on something, I'll come down to the studio and maybe program some sounds just to keep my brain a little bit active. I also will do a lot of upgrades to the studio equipment, upgrades to my sound libraries, and stuff like that. But I'm not composing anything when I'm not working.
Hmm.
So
So that is the
it's a,
next
it's a good
question I
way.
have.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
So what role do you think the right equipment and technology plays in shaping your work? And another question, do you believe AI will take over?
I don't know. I have no idea. I really don't know one director that would let his movie be scored by a computer.
Yeah.
I, you know, I don't. I think directors, and maybe the younger kids will be into that, but
Hmm.
there's something really gross about that.
Maybe it's a
Uh,
budget issue. So
yeah, it could be a budget if it's a budget issue, but you know what? There's plenty of people willing to, give you a human score for a reasonable amount. Maybe it'll take some place. I don't know. I have no idea. I have no interest in using it at all.
yes. No, I
Um,
mean, the problem is, so the AI is also using your work. So it's like they got inspired by your and other people's work. So
sure, they analyze all the
yeah,
music that's out there and put it into their algorithm. So, I know that it's not as specific as give me a Sean Murray score or a Hans Zimmer
yes.
score, but you can. What I've heard is that you can describe, tone and feel, and have some garbage spewed at you. But who knows?
But
For now,
technology is a very important issue for you, right? So is it,
yeah. Well, you know what? When I started at the beginning of MIDI, and a lot of people said, "Oh my God, MIDI's going to put musicians out of work and orchestras." And you know what? It
it
did.
is keeps coming all the way. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So it did put a lot of players out of work because my first score I did completely on my own. I did all my own guitar, and I was all MIDI. And I got my first sampler on Scorpion, and wow, you can have sampled strings, and you don't need string players. So, we're going through that process again. And look, all the libraries I use are, amazing. And you have phrase libraries of incredible orchestral phrases that you can incorporate into your work, which is, in a sense, that's not AI because it's all played and generated by human beings, but you're taking samples of phrases and melodies that you can build into your own music. So I use pretty much everything at my fingertips that's available. A lot of sample libraries, a lot of loops,
Hmm.
and just a combination of all the tools that are available. But as I've said, I've no interest in having a computer, generate a cue for me.
Yeah, but so is it a little bit annoying? Is there anything that you have to update everything, or is it a normal process there? So or
Oh
you
no, it's just a normal process. I use my main instruments are outboard gear, outboard synthesizers, Roland's, Kurzweils. I have my 80s synths that I use a lot.
Mm.
Uh, Yamaha TX 7s, and I've got probably 4 or 5 computers running at one time. I use Contact Player a lot. I use East-West Play system, very good sample library system, amazing stuff. And then the old Giga Studios, I still rely on them very, very heavily. But yeah, I'm constantly upgrading my sound libraries, and especially the orchestral stuff, because it just keeps getting better and better. And the articulations that you can do with strings and horns, and it's amazing how close you can get to the real orchestral sound. But the best combination is synth and orchestra together, like on the bigger projects that I've done.
So you said it's a team effort, but it sounds like you're doing all the stuff on your own. So most of it.
So if I'm not doing orchestral work, I'm doing everything here in my studio, and I'll bring in players to enhance what I've done on the synths. So I'll bring in percussionists, I'll bring in wind players, I'll bring in always cello players and singers, and I try and get as much organic stuff into the score as possible. So I always hire players to really finish off my scores for me, for the most part.
I just have a question now about the royalties, if you don't mind, is if you do most of the stuff on your own, so you have most of the royalties, or you have to share it with the company when you do these projects? How can we understand how it works? So a little bit.
If you do it, I'll give you an example. A studio film like Deep Blue Sea 2 for Warner Brothers, they take the royalty, the publishing, sorry. So it's Warner Publishing, but then I keep my writer's share. So royalties are always split in two. You have publishing and the writers. And for the most part, it's just me as the writer. Occasionally I'll co-write with somebody, but 99% of the time it's me.
Yes.
So studio films will always take the publishing. A TV show will take the publishing. A Netflix original will take the publishing. But independent films, I usually am able to work out either complete publishing package for myself or a shared package with the independent filmmakers. But they're a lot more flexible on that than would be a studio or a TV show.
Yeah. Thanks for the example.
Yeah. So no, anytime you can get your publishing, you've just doubled your income.
Are there any upcoming projects or collaborations that you're particularly excited about right now?
Yeah, I'm really excited for Chief of Station. I don't know if you can read that behind me. It's directed by Jesse Johnson. And this is an incredible movie. Okay. Chief of Station. So that's coming out on May 3rd in theaters and streaming. That's starring Aaron Eckhart, Olga Kurylenko, Alex Pittifer. And watch the trailer. It is fantastic. It's one of the biggest. It's one of the biggest films that Jesse Johnson has done, and it's just shot. It's shot in Hungary, and the location is unbelievable. It's shot in Budapest, and man, it is an action-packed spy thriller. Just one of the best spy thrillers I've seen in a long time. And
wow, sounds good. So it looks promising. I saw the trailer a little bit.
Great performance. Yeah, great performance by Kurylenko, Aaron. Daniel Bernhardt is in it as well.
Yeah. Great.
He's
great
terrific.
Cast. For sure, great cast.
Then you have Joseph Cannon as well, who was in the Debt Collector 2 movie.
Yeah.
He's terrific. Yeah.
So how does it come that you have made so much soundtracks for Scott Adkins movies?
Mostly it was Jesse Johnson films, like Debt Collector, Savage Dog. First one I did.
I see. Okay, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Savage Dog. And then we did, with Scott, we did Debt Collector. And then after that, we did, I believe it was Accident Man. That was another
Accident Man, yeah. Both have sequels, and then Avengement.
Avengement, yeah, amazing film.
There was another one I saw. It was a
Debt
new.
Collector. It was Debt Collector 2. The only other Scott film that I did, Atkins film, was with Andrei Barkoviak, and that one was called. It was a working title called Alter Rock, but we ended up with.
It's Alter Rock on IMDb as well. Nice.
Yeah, and the final title was actually. Let me find it here. Dead Reckoning. Yeah.
Oh, so Dead Reckoning. Okay.
Yes. And that was directed by Andrei Barkoviak, who I worked with before in a movie called Maximum Impact. And I actually met Barkoviak when he was 25 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little kid. It was that same movie that Brad Fidel scored. And this was Barkoviak's first film as a cinematographer. So my dad gave that opportunity to Andrei Barkoviak when he was a young man.
Yeah.
And he went on to become one of the greatest cinematographers in the business, and then a great film director, with all those.
Right.
Yeah.
So, how is your relationship with Mr. Nevsky? I just saw you also have done a lot of projects with him as well.
Yeah, I started with Alexander 10 years ago on a movie called Black Rose back in 2014. And I had worked with the director many times before on that one. And so he had liked my films like Crusader and The Deal that were done in the 2000s. And so I got hired to do that. And he's just been a great friend and a loyal patron. And we've been working together ever since. And then a couple of years ago, I brought Joe Cornette to him after having done that last Western that my father was in. And I said, Alexander, I'd love for you to do a Western with me and Joe. And let's create a company and make some Westerns. And we're able to do that with Gunfight at Rio Bravo. And what we did is we based that on that story on a real Russian war hero that went out west after the war. And his name was Ivan Turchin. And John Basil Turchin, actually. And he also went by Ivan. And he was a historical figure that was promoted to brigadier general by Abraham Lincoln himself. And Ivan Turchin was an immigrant from Russia who had served in the Russian army as a colonel. So he became a colonel in the Union Army. So we used that historical figure, and that gave us a reason to put this great character out west. And the film Gunfight it's just rip-roaring fun. It's fast-paced, fast-moving action film. And so that one Gunfight at Rio Bravo came out last year. And the sequel to it, Taken from Rio Bravo, is coming out in August.
Yeah, I just saw it. It sounds like a lot of fun. So is it mostly fun, or do you also have stressful days? So, or you say this is a dream job?
You know what? The only time I would get stressed is when we have a solid deadline on when the film has got to get done. But here's what I do. I learned from one of the great composers, Jerry Goldsmith.
Wow. Okay.
I was at a BMI dinner with him. We were out smoking a cigarette, and he was telling me, Sean, as long as I get my two minutes done a day, I'm good, man.
Yeah.
So as long as I get that orchestrated, written, orchestrated out, 2 minutes a day. And that's kind of my work goal for the day. So if I get 2 minutes done, I want it orchestrated, recorded, mastered, and mixed Pro Tools with all my stems, get that 2 minutes done. And if I'm satisfied and don't want to write any more that day, then I'm good. But if I'm inspired, I'll continue, and maybe I'll turn that 2 minutes into 5 minutes. And that's a really good day of work if you get 5 minutes done on a film.
So
and my sweet spot, Istersen, is anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. I prefer 6 weeks, and then after that, I think I'm pretty much
done with the project.
Yeah, pretty much ready.
But 6 weeks is okay. 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So
and that gives you time to make changes, because you know what, the director is always going to want to make changes. As the score comes together, and I love doing that, because every time I make a change, it makes the score better. And then we'll do that also on the soundstage. Director will say, Jesse will say to me, you know what, do we have something for this? And I'll go, oh, okay, let's grab a piece from over here and throw it in over here and see how it works.
So spontaneous.
And then you'll do some editing as well. You'll take out some of the percussion in one scene because it's fighting with some of the sound elements. Or you'll take out some, I do a lot of like kind of effects tracks, music effects. And sometimes we'll use them, sometimes we'll lose them. So it's great to do everything in stems, because you have, really good flexibility on the soundstage.
Yeah, great advice. Sums up, it's small steps every time, so you don't have to rush.
Yeah.
Be happy if you just achieve one step by another. So.
And what I do is I break out all of the main instruments, like strings, together. That's one stem. String effects, that's another stem. Horns, another stem. Horn effects, another stem. So you're stacking up about 6, 8 stems. I don't like to get too crazy, maybe 8 maximum. And then you, of course, do your stereo mix. And that way you have a lot of flexibility for adjusting sound levels with the sound effects and sound design in the film. And a lot of time when you're doing action too, all that gunfire and explosions, you have to dig the music out of it, or pull it out, or, dig one element out so it cuts through. So.
Yeah. Amazing. So that reminds me of a situation on my own. So I worked for a movie project. It was an independent movie where I had the chance to be an editor and associate producer. And I edited the movie, so I cut it. At the end, the producer was happy with the ending, but the director wasn't. So after a while, I was like, so that's the best I can get you. And he wasn't happy with it. So it was a little bit stressful for me at the end.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If you can't come up with a solution for your creatives, then that's a problem. But you just want to be prepared to do your best job to make any changes that they want, because it's their vision, it's their project, and you really got to be flexible enough. And also, I check my ego at the door when it comes to door. You don't like it, it's not working, I'm not going to question it. I'm going to do something else.
So that's exactly what you say is right, because it's at the end, sometimes it's just a job. So you just do the job, and it's not personal thing. So it's not a personal thing. So if it's your baby, you can edit and do and change whatever you want, but they paying the money, so it's the job, and you just deliver it, and that's it.
You know what? You want to fulfill the director and the producer's vision of the film. That's the ultimate goal. You know, if I wanted to write a symphony for myself, I'll do that and I'll be in
Yes.
control. But when I'm writing for a director's vision, that's the most important thing for me to do, is to capture that vision. And also, I'll instruct them in things that are cool, and if they're working for us, then that's great. But they're the boss, man.
That's a good advice for people they start now or so. Just so how do
Listen
you see
to your director.
Yeah. Again, please?
Listen to your director.
Listen to your director.
Yeah.
So how do you see your work evolving in the future, and are there any new directions you're interested in exploring?
You know what? Every film tends to be so different. If you listen to the body of my work, every score is going to have its own personality. There's stylistic things that you'll recognize from a Sean Murray score, but I try and approach every project with a fresh slate.
Mm-hmm.
And so Chief of Station is extremely different from the film I did before that, Boudica, Queen of War.
Do you think you have achieved another level right now? So with the experience you have?
I think so. You know what? It's easier for me to just, it's easy for me to accept what I'm doing and write a lot fast. It's become very easy to write a lot of music very quickly.
Like instinct.
Yeah, it's a lot of instinct, but you do it for so long. It's just like it gets easier and easier as I get older. And it's just always fun though. And without the stress of solid deadlines, which on films can always change, because there's usually not a set date on delivery.
Yeah.
But there's a general need to get it done and ready to go, but there's a little more flexibility with that. So the rigidity of a TV show is like when you had to deliver 40 minutes of music in 4 or 5 days. That's very taxing.
Okay, I see. So
that's why the TV guys have a slew of writers working for them to make it easy to get it done.
The market is even bigger right now than before, right? In comparison with the old times, so we have so many streaming portals and stuff like that out there. So
yes, and that's changed from like network television, strict deadlines. You just got to get that show done in a week, and because it's going to be airing. So, but with like Netflix shows and streaming series, there's a lot more leeway in that respect.
Yeah,
because it's not. I mean, they do release them weekly, but you've started way further in advance than you would have on a television
show.
So
the quality at the end is getting lost. So sometimes.
It's better now.
It's better now if you have. You have to be fast.
No, I think the quality on the TV in general is better than network television.
Okay.
I say 10, 15 years ago.
Okay, I now got it. So the comparison of TV and Netflix. Okay, I see.
Yeah, Netflix or Apple Plus, or all these Prime TV series. The music is really
they keep publishing, one another. So it's.
And I think you have more time. Anytime I've done something for Netflix or Lifetime, you had a little more time than if you were doing a network TV show.
Okay, I see.
Listen to the score for Fallout, for example. I mean, it's terrific.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh,
huh? Yeah,
very good. And the score for terrific Apple Plus Colin Farrell series called Sugar. Fantastic score. And I'm just hearing so many great scores. There was a the series, 2 seasons called Tehran, which was about spies between the Mossad and the Iranian spy forces. Really interesting show, and that had amazing music on it as well.
So you're
So yeah.
open for also foreign movies. So you watch everything.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's good.
And I just watched a really terrific film the other night called Rolling Thunder from 1977, and it was Barry Dvorak's score, and it was probably my favorite Dvorak score I've ever heard. And I watched the movie because Jesse Johnson said he had just bought the Blu-ray, and boy, I was so impressed with Barry's work on that. And yeah, it gave me some really cool ideas what to do with one of the next projects I've got coming up.
Yeah, great. I will definitely listen to it later.
Rolling Thunder, yeah, check it out.
Yeah, I will check it out.
Tommy Lee Jones, Willem Devane.
Definitely will check it out. So, are there any misconceptions about composing that you like to address?
You know what? I really don't know how a lot of other guys work, because I've been such a one-man show here. So, you know, one guy's experience as a composer is going to be very different from mine. And I haven't spent a lot of time in the studio with too many other composers. But the best thing about composing is developing that connection with the creatives behind the film. So that's the most important thing, as I've said before, is to really develop those relationships and gain the trust of the creatives that you're working with. And that's really the fun part. You make friends, and often I'd make friends with directors, and we'll hang out outside of the film world. And, you know, and mostly you're working with the director, but sometimes you get really great creative producers, which I've had the experience recently with a movie called Aftershock that's going to be coming out this summer. So, yeah, and that one was mainly worked on with me and the producer on it.
So, as a composer, you're often behind the scenes. So sometimes do people still recognize you outside if you're going somewhere?
That's funny. Well, I get a lot of, wow, you look like Bill Murray. Are you related to Bill Murray?
Okay.
No, I say I'm related to Don Murray, but not Bill Murray. I appreciate it, though. But I've gotten that a lot over the last 20 years. But as far as being recognized, I've done little cameos in a lot of Jesse Johnson's movies because he likes to kill me in the movies.
Yeah.
He loves to kill his composer. So the first one he had me in a shootout scene was Savage Dog. And I play a French Foreign Legion soldier. And I get whacked by Scott Adkins with an MG42. No, with the Sturmgewehr.
Sturmgewehr,
so
yeah.
Yeah, Sturmgewehr. So I got wiped out by the Sturmgewehr, shooting a shotgun. Then he put me in Accident Man, where I get killed. I play a mobster shooting an Uzi, and I get whacked to death by an assassin in lingerie with a katana.
Yeah.
Then in, let's see, where else? I was in a shootout scene in White Elephant. Sometimes
also do acting.
Well, it's more stunt work.
Stunt work.
That I'm silly enough to want to subject myself to it. So I was in a shootout also in White Elephant. That was a Bruce Willis movie with John Malkovich.
Yeah, I saw that on IMDb. It's also.
Yeah, and Michael Rooker, beautifully shot by Jonathan Hall. And then in Boudica, Queen of War.
Yeah.
I play a Celt, and I have my glorious death scene where I get shot with an arrow, and there's a close up of me spitting up blood. So, and also in One Ranger, I'm in a shootout in that, and I have a really nice close up of a squid going off on my back. So it's fun doing these stunts for Jesse.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
So you
And
never were interested in acting, so just in composing, or?
yeah, I was never wanting to be an actor. No.
Yeah.
But like, I love being on the set, so, and it's fun to have these little cameos and then, write music for it.
Yeah.
But oh, I also played a Nazi that gets executed by by Russian soldiers in Hell Hath No Fury.
Ah, cool.
So I have a cameo on that one as well.
Can you share a behind the scenes story or anecdote from your creative process that you haven't shared before, maybe? So,
let's see. Well, on Boudica, Queen of War, doing the pickups here, that was shot in England, I think, in Ipswich.
yes.
And so we did pickups here of some battle stuff, and I brought in a couple of musicians to play musicians in the little town. And it's a woman I work with, Ashley Jarmack, who does all of these exotic wind instruments on my scores. And she brought her incredible Gems horns, which is a Norwegian cattle. They have these huge, huge horns that they make into a wind instrument. So she played that in the scene, and then we had an ancient Celtic flute with the girl she brought with her. So it was nice to be behind the scenes and bringing the musicians in that film. Then after the film was done, Ashley Jarmack played a bunch of different wind instruments on that score.
Right.
Just crazy, crazy instruments. The Fujihara, the Gems horns, and other wind instruments that I, don't know the names of. She's a master. She's such a master at the exotic. So I use her a lot on my stuff.
Do you still discover new sounds or new instruments?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've got so many sounds and so many sound libraries. I always find new stuff for every project. I mean, I'm just looking I'm looking at this great synthesizer called Gravity.
Gravity,
by Heaviosity. Right now I'm looking at that. And man, I'm finding some really amazing sounds in this sound library. Great synthesizer.
It sounds refreshing. So if you kind of like couple years in the business and still find new sounds.
Oh yeah, God, yeah. Every time I buy a new sound library, just amazed. And some of these synthesizers for Contact are just incredible. Contact is really one of the greatest tools out there. And it's, plugs into any DAW. And so it's great. I use Cakewalk.
I tried that one before. Cakewalk.
Yeah, it's now free, but I've been with Cakewalk for years. I was endorsed by them.
Yes.
And I've been on the PC platform for arranging and MIDI and recording for years. So no Macs in my system. It's all PC platform.
Yeah.
Great tool. Cakewalk has just been solid. And it's interesting. I switched to Cakewalk from the Atari computer that I started with in the 80s. And I switched to Cakewalk in the 90s. I was on the Atari from 1985 to probably 96 for 10 years.
Have you ever?
And it had such great MIDI capabilities, and its sync to SMPTE timecode was dead solid, better than anything that the Macintosh had. So what was great was the file format on the Atari was TOS. So it was DOS based, and they called it TOS, TOS. And that was compatible with IBM, PC computers. So when I got Cakewalk, I was able to just read all my MIDI files from the Atari. And then Cakewalk got really good very quickly at digital recording. And I've just been with that platform forever. Say I started using Cakewalk in '96, so yeah, it's been 28 years.
Ever thought about writing a book or something like that about that subject? So,
oh wow,
it sounds very interesting. So,
never thought of writing a book, but now you just gave me an idea.
So
maybe one of these days.
So decades. So there's so many experience.
80s, 90s,
so many stories.
Yeah. My first movie was 1985, 86. I think it came out in 87, but it was 1985.
85. So
yeah.
I was born 81.
There you go. Yeah. So I've been doing it for quite some time, and
time flies. Yeah.
But I just love the MIDI synthesizers, and I still, like I said, I have my emulator too from '85. Got my Roland. Roland D50 from '87. And the Korg M1 from '88, and I still use those in all the soundtracks.
Yeah, great.
Yamaha TX7. That one is another '80s synth that I use a lot. Kurzweil's early 2000s. So.
Wow.
Early '90s. Sorry. Yeah. So it's nice to have a combination of the old synthesizers, the old digital synths, and some analog ones as well. And then all the new stuff. And it's great to just mix and match everything.
Yes.
To have access to all of those original tools as well.
Yeah. But you don't go outside with the microphone and record things and to find new sounds, or some people
did. You know what? I did that for my first movie when I first got the emulator.
Yeah.
I did. So I sampled everything back then, and I still have those samples. I used mallets and drumsticks on a Sparklets water bottle. That was a really great percussive instrument that I sampled. Then I did a crowbar that I slid across the cement floor and used that as a music effect with a lot of reverb on it. That's an interesting one that I still use. And yeah, I sampled a lot of shit back then. A lot of pots and pans and anything that would make a noise.
Yeah, lots of testing, being creative, and yeah.
There was one synthesizer too that I wish I'd never sold. One of them was the incredible German PPG.
Okay.
It was a PPG 3.0, something like that. Very expensive synthesizer and digital. And that was one of the hottest synths of the 80s and one of the most expensive. And I'm sorry I ever sold it because I really wish I had that sound now. And the other one was my Oberheim OB8, OBXA actually, which is, worth thousands and thousands of dollars.
You can't find it anywhere, so you sold it.
Oh, I suppose.
Is it not available anymore? It's very rare.
You can find them used for about $4 or $5 grand.
Wow.
But the PPG was, if you look that up, that was a really interesting synthesizer.
Yeah. Sean, how do you approach collaboration with other artists or professionals, and what do you value most in those partnerships?
Well, again, as far as working with directors, that is the most satisfying thing, is fulfilling their vision. And that's the best part about scoring, and having the excitement that you've done your job. That's
Yeah.
great. And then sometimes I'll work with some other writers and somebody who's got a fresh perspective on maybe a percussion track. I'll send it over to a guy here or there and say, come up with something that I wouldn't think of. Yeah, I work by myself. And then, like I said, if I have collaborations, I'll send tracks over to a few other guys that I really like that will add some fresh stuff to my material, just to give myself a little bit of,
So
bit of outside input once in a while is good, healthy.
so you never had a music band, or just always alone in this area?
Oh yeah, I had a bands when I was in high school.
Yeah.
One of my bands had the famous bass player from Big Bad Voodoo Daddy.
Oh.
Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. Dirk Shoemaker, the bass player. He plays the stand-up bass, very stylish, and his fedora.
Yeah.
Their breakout was the movie Swingers back in the 90s. And they became a very big band. So Dirk was in one of my first bands. And yeah, so I did that up into the early 90s, and then I just focused on my film career. I stopped fantasizing about being a rock star.
In Hollywood, especially in the movie industry, is there a lot of competition? So people that you can trust in the business, or is that a thing?
Oh, there's tremendous.
It's a professional
absolutely.
way.
No, there's a tremendous competition. My God.
Yeah.
My success has really been from, my repeat customers. So once, a lot of these directors have,
Yes.
used me for many of their projects, and they've come to trust me. So that's how I've been able to survive, is by my repeat customers. And occasionally, like in the last year and a half, I've had some new clients come in and new directors. So that was great. It's always great to get new guys into your stream of fellow filmmakers. And producing now too is also a cool way to keep busy and scoring.
Yes.
Making your own movies as well.
So you have a lot of experience, and due to the background from your father as well, you know the business, I guess, mostly.
Yeah.
And is there a change right now regarding to the trust issue? Is regarding to competition? Has it changed over the years?
You know what? I just have been lucky to have like I said, a good group of people that keep coming back to work with me. So that's my luck. As far as having to go out and hustle much, I don't really have to do that much anymore.
Yes.
Yeah. But early on, I sure did. And my second film, you heard how I got the first film. I had the director listen to my student films. One of the other great films I did in '95 was a film called Ocean Tribe. And I was living in Malibu at the time. And with my older brother, we shared a house down there. All of a sudden, this film crew showed up at my house. My brother didn't tell me. And they were going to be shooting some scenes for a movie.
Yeah.
So I boldly went over to the director. At the time, I was writing music for soap operas with Barry DeVorzon. So I had a gig as a composer where I was doing 3 shows. But anyway, so I had a lot of music, my other scores, and I told the director I was a composer. Do you have anybody yet? He said, no. And I said, well, listen to my stuff. I'm doing this for a little while. And so he and I ended up joking around and kind of hitting it off. And he hired me for that film. So that was a big help.
Great. So,
Yeah. So that one, the film came to my house. I was
so yeah, great.
able to get the gig that way. But yeah, I hustled a hell of a lot when I was in my early 20s.
Sean, what advice would you give to aspiring composers who are just starting out?
I would highly recommend hooking up with a film school
Hmm.
and, you know,
Good background.
getting in with some of the students doing their student films. That is a tremendous way to learn how to score. That's how I learned to score, by doing it. Luckily, I had a synthesizer set up and some MIDI keyboards and a Commodore 64 computer, so I could sync it up to video. So work, even if you don't have to go to the school, go make yourself available. Go to the department and, pass some links around to your work and, try and get yourself on those student films. Find some young directors that are making shorts. A lot of these new directors come out by making interesting short films. So you really got to seek out the creatives and, do something with them. Also, what you can do is take your favorite movie and just turn off the sound, make some video clips, put it in your DAW, and write your own music to,
Wow.
your favorite movie.
Yeah,
That's a
great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, and then then you've got a professional visual that you can show somebody. Here's what I wrote to, the latest Top Gun movie or whatever. So yeah, you really just got to dig, hustle, find creative types, and try and get in with some promising young directors.
Yeah, great advice.
Mm-hmm.
So the last question. So lastly, what's one thing about your work that people might be surprised to learn?
Geez, I don't know what they would be surprised. Um, I don't know if I have a great answer for that. Well, if you listen to the variety of films that I've done,
Yes.
and take, for example, Tyson's Run, which was on Netflix over the last month, was in the top 10 movies in America for about 4 weeks, or at least 2 weeks.
Yes.
Up to number 4 on the list. So that's a very sweet film. It's got a lot of, sympathy and empathy towards it. It's very different from my action and aggressive.
Yeah, I see. Normally
so,
action-driven movies. Yeah.
So
action.
I can do the sweet stuff, and then if you go back and listen to God, the Devil, and Bob, you can hear my comedy that I mixed with, kind of gothic horror. So that's very different. You'd be surprised to hear my little 2-second, bumper cues from God, the Devil, and Bob, and then my crazy orchestrations for some of the action in that. But no, it's. I think you'd find that a lot of my work is very eclectic and very different from film to film.
Yeah.
So if you listen to Boudica, Queen at War, and then contrast that with the upcoming Chief of Station, you're going to hear 2 very, very different types of scores. So I think the surprising thing or fun thing might be the variety, but every composer does that. Every composer has incredible breadth of and variety in their music. But it's fun to just keep trying different things and try to keep things fresh. And like I said, every film requires a different personality and a different sound and mark on it. So that's just the great thing about being a composer, is I view myself, and I've said this in a lot of interviews, I view myself as an actor with music.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's very amazing to have the ability to being so fresh and every time you do it. So it's always not a different style, but different emotions there and different work of art. It's just amazing. Yeah. I think
And it's always very driven by the actors too, and the
yes.
performances that I'm seeing on the screen. A great performance is going to really pull out better music for me than, kind of writes itself when you get a really great performance.
Was there ever a moment for you that you have said, okay, I published that movie right now, but maybe I can revisit it again, so I should have changed it, or should be, if I have the chance, I would change it right now?
The latter, I usually when I'm finished, then I'm done with it. But there was one score that I did that the director was sorry that the film didn't get as wide of a release that he wanted, and he really wanted me to use that score, a lot of the themes from that score, in another film that we did.
Yes.
So I ended up being able to expand on the original score and take that and turn that into a brand new one for debt collectors. The original one was The Beautiful Ones, and we were able to take that score, reuse a lot of it, and expand upon it. And I liked that. That was fun. Now, you talking about a director's cut, a film I did with my father's last movie, Promise.
Yes.
The director, Joe Cornette, is going to be doing a director's cut on that. So I'll be able to revisit that with some new scenes. And of course, I'll keep it within the style of the original film, Promise. It's one of my best Western scores. It's not the best Western score that I did, Promise by Joe Cornette. Highly recommend the film. That's the one that we did before Gunfight at Rio Bravo, which is much more of an action score. Promise has a lot more emotion to it.
Great.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Well, it's been my pleasure.
My pleasure too. So
yes.
it was fun for me. I don't know if it was for you as well. So
absolutely. So, I love talking to my German friend.
German. Yeah. Okay, I was born here, but I'm also Turkish. So
oh, I see. Well,
yeah.
You're sprechen my Deutsch, man. You're sprechen my Deutsch.
Yeah, English is a hard language for Germans, I guess. I'm also planning to do a movie, so maybe there's a chance working with you. So let's see.
That would be terrific. That would be terrific.
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much again. Have a nice day, Sean. Yeah.
My pleasure, and cheers.
Yeah, bye-bye.